What's up, YouTube? Today we're going to be looking at 10 top teams for the Open Great League. The Open Great League is finally back. Before we hop in though, let's take a look at the top 20 ranked Pokemon for the format according to PvPoke. So at the number 1 spot, we've got Galarian Corsola holding strong, followed by Credilli, Gastrodon, Azumarill, Shadow Kanto Marowak, Dusclops, Stunfisk, Regular Marowak, Shadow Dusknoir, Bastiodon, Altaria, Shadow Dragonair, Dusknoir, Corviknight, Araquanid, Goodra, Bellibolt, Gligar, Lickitung, and Shadow Dusclops. So we've got some old metastables coming back and some even older metastables coming back, which is pretty interesting. But without further ado, let's take a look at 10 top teams. Hopping into team number 1 features one of my favorite Pokemon this season, and that is actually Empoleon. Now, Empoleon is just an absolute menace this season due to its incredibly unique and powerful defensive typing. Empoleon as a water steel has only 3 weaknesses. Those weaknesses are electric, fighting, and ground. It also has a whopping 11 resistances, and 3 of which are double resistances. Amoonguss is functioning as the safe swap for this team, resisting both fighting and electric, with coverage into the grounds and the prevalent ghosts with both Astonish and Foul Play. And then finally in the back we have Altaria, which is a bulky dragon flyer, resisting both fighting and ground, and neutralizing the electric with its dragon typing. On paper, this team does look a little bit soft to Dedenne. That said, Empoleon typically wins CMP unless the opponent is running a high attack Dedenne, so that's actually a pretty neutral matchup there because you pace the exact same, so you can always just match shields with the opponent and then farm down with the Amoonguss. This team specifically is a team I've had a lot of success with in the Open Great League this season, and it's a team I'm probably going to be taking a look at once again on this channel. Alright, hopping into the next team, team number 2, we have 3 Pokemon among the top 30 on this team. Dedenne, as an electric fairy, has only 2 weaknesses, which are poison and ground. Combo that with Corviknight, which resists both, and you have a fantastic core. And then you have Toedscool, which kind of does a similar thing. It's a Mud Slapper, so that hits the poisons for super effective damage, and it also resists ground as a part grass type. You are double weak to fire in the back, so if you catch one on the lead, you do have to stay in the Dedenne, and then Corviknight will be your safe swap for this team. You could also replace Toedscool with Torterra as a spicier option. Alright, hopping into team number 3 features the buffed Weather Ball Ninetales. Stunfisk has really unique coverage to deal with the meta at large. Electric for your flyers and waters, and then ground for your poisons, steels, and fires. Furret is your safe swap on this team. That makes a solid core with Stunfisk. It has access to Trailblaze, which hits super effective into the Mud Slappers and the water types that Stunfisk might not necessarily want to see. And then in return, Stunfisk deals with the steels that Furret is walled by. Even the flying one, thanks to Thundershock and Discharge. And then in the back you have Weather Ball, Alolan Ninetales. That shadow bonus makes this spammy bait move a true threat. And then Ice pairs really well with Electric because when you think about it, Electric is only resisted by 3 things: ground, dragon, and grass, and Ice hits all of those for super effective damage. Likewise, as a fairy, Ninetales is weak to steel, poison, and fire, which ground from the Stunfisk can hit for super effective damage. It's up to you whether you want to run Psyshock or Dazzling Gleam on this Pokemon. I've run it with Psyshock in the past, and that's been absolutely no problem. In team number 4, we've got Alolan Sandslash, Claydol, and Shadow Gyarados. Sandslash is kind of a given in this meta. It's a great core breaker. It resists both. It resists Fairy as a steel. It hits other steels for super effective damage with Drill Run, and then you can also hit dragons for super effective damage with Ice Punch. So it's a real triple threat there, and it kind of isn't really indicative of its ranking. I do recommend the non-Shadow for a team where you have such a glassy Mon in the back. Shadow Gyarados is extremely glassy and it needs shields in order to do well. That said, Sandslash has okay bulk, and so does Claydol. Claydol is the safe swap for this team, meant to lure out something that doesn't want to face the Sandslash, and then Claydol actually looks really strong, and it has pretty similar coverage to that Sandslash. So if you lure out something that doesn't want to face the Sandslash, guess what? Here's Sandslash 2.0, because it has ice and ground coverage as well, but it also has the ability to debuff with Rock Tomb. Claydol has both Mud Slap and Rock Tomb for the fire weakness on the lead, and it resists fighting with its psychic typing. And then you have Sandslash, which is double weak to fire, fighting, and a single weakness to ground. And then Shadow Gyarados in the back looks ridiculously strong. You've got Aqua Tail, supplies you with a 35 energy bait move that you can get to in only 9 turns. And then you also have 3 different coverage types with your fast and 2 charge moves. And then of course Gyarados is typing as a water flying, which we've seen in the past on something like a Mantine, resist ground, fire, and fighting, which are all of Sandslash's weaknesses. Hopping into team number 5, we've got Gastrodon, Turtonator, and Togekiss. Gastrodon has emerged as the highest ranked Mudslapper in the format. It's just got better pacing this season with Water Pulse. It has better coverage that can hit flyers with Water Pulse, so that is super nice for it. It does of course only have one weakness as well, which is a double weakness to grass, so I've paired it up with a Fire Dragon and a Flyer in the back. Honestly, either could function as safe swaps realistically depending on the lead Pokemon. This is an ABC style team with a lot of flexibility, and there's actually no overlapping coverage. You'll notice you've got Ground, Normal, and Water for Gastrodon, you've got Fire, Dark, and Dragon for Turtonator, and then Flying, Psychic, and Fighting for Togekiss. So it's kind of rare that you have a team like this that covers their weaknesses, each other's weaknesses pretty well, but it kind of worked out this way for this team. Taking a look at the next team, team number 6 consists of 3 pretty bulky Pokemon and the new highest ranked Grass Flyer in Dartrix. So Dartrix is actually the pre-evolution of Decidueye, and actually got double buffed this season with access to both Peck and Leafage, both of which are now Shadow Claw clones. The recommended moveset on PvPoke currently is Peck. However, for this team specifically, I think Leafage does look a little bit better. Dartrix does have 5 weaknesses, which are Fire, Flying, Rock, Poison, and a double weakness to Ice. So you do want to cover all of those. So you've got Jellicent on the safe swap, which just makes sense, right? It's a ghost, it resists the poison, and Surf hits the Fire and Rock for super effective damage, and its water typing resists Ice. Likewise, you have Bastiodon, which hits the Fire, Flying, and Ice for super effective damage with Smackdown and Stone Edge. And then as a Steel, it also resists Flying, Rock, Poison, and Ice. You also have a weakness to Fighting with Bastiodon in the back, but both Dartrix and Jellicent cover those as a Flyer and a Ghost. And you'll also notice that I've selected the Shadow Bastiodon over the regular, and that's actually for good reason. The Shadow Bastiodon actually picks up a unique win against Corviknight among a couple other meta Mons while dropping some less meta Mons in return. So maybe you do want to consider running the Shadow if you do have it built. Okay, team number 7 is another ABC style line with Shadow Scizor and the buffed Goodra. Scizor, as a Bug Steel, has only one weakness, which is a double weakness to fire, so that's why we have Goodra as a dragon on the safe swap. It has new and improved pacing, allowing it to reach its charge moves at lightning fast pacing, and Goodra has a plethora of other viable move options, but Aqua Tail plus Thunder Punch does give it really good coverage. Goodra is of course weak to Fairy, Dragon, and Ice, but Scizor, as a Steel Bullet Punch user, deals with all of those. And then finally in the back is Shadow Kanto Marowak with a double fire coverage with both ground and rock charge move coverage. Now the next team we're going to take a look at, team number 8, features a dominant safe swap, and that is Fearow. On the lead we have Steelix, a bulky steel ground with decent coverage and only 4 weaknesses: Water, Fighting, Ground, and Fire. Fearow is the safe swap for this team, offering super effective coverage into the fire weakness with Drill Run. And then lastly, we have our closer, resisting the fighting weakness of our lead, Shadow Annihilape. Annihilape as a fighting / ghost is weak to Psychic, Fairy, Flying, and Ghost. So that is why it's paired with Steelix, which resists Psychic, Fairy, and Flying, and has super effective coverage into Flyers with Thunderfang and Ghosts with Crunch. Taking a look at team number 9, which is another ABC style line similar to team number 4, we've got Fortress, which has a neutral matchup into virtually the entire meta, besides 2 main things, and those 2 things are Fires and Fighters. So it's double weak to Fire, and Bug Bite is resisted, so that one's kind of obvious, but Bug is also resistant on Fighting, and so is Rock Tomb, making that a very difficult matchup. So cover those 2 main weaknesses with a Ghost and Corsola. That double resists the Fighting and has super effective coverage with Power Gem into the fire types, and then a Azumarill in the back, which resists fire and fighting as a Water / Fairy. This team also has very strong bulk all throughout, allowing you to be very flexible with shields. And then finally, last but certainly not least, we have team number 10, and Stunfisk is back, but this time it is Galarian. So its Steel Side ground typing and bulk are not uncommon thanks to Steelix, but this one actually beats Steelix. As a Mudshot user, it hits other steels for super effective damage with great coverage in buffed Rock Slide and Earthquake. And then you've got, like Steelix, it has 4 weaknesses: fire, water, ground, and fighting. So what better to pair it with than a flyer, which is good into both fighters and grounds. And you've got Murkrow as a Dark Flyer, which is weak to Fairy, Rock, Electric, and Ice, which Stunfisk actually covers pretty nicely. And then Seeking functions as a great save swap with very similar coverage to 2 other Pokemon I've already discussed, both Sandslash and Claydol, except Seeking has new and improved pacing with the buff to Peck, and as a mono water type, it only has 2 weaknesses, which are Grass and Electric, and it actually can hit its only 2 weaknesses for super effective damage. It also resists fire and water weaknesses of the lead, and has Peck for the fighters and Icy Wind for the grounds. But yeah, that is 10 top teams for the Open Great League. Before I wrap up, I do want to say thank you to the expert trainer members on this channel: Benny Hemlock, Dr. Rin Mustache, Sohan Patil, Eliana, Perry G, Blue Nation, Peter Rushworth, Alright 504, Chompus Clips, and Sons of Code, as well as an extra special thank you to the Legend Trainer members on this channel: Andrew Pitton, Musaju, Noodleman, Speedster, Estros, Fast Eddie Boss, and CD Slaskus. Thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, peace!